right, this is going to be our dashboard. This is what you will see when you log into the portal. You are able to trigger the gate from here. You can do a momentary, hold open, or close the gate. Okay, so in order for us to take a photo, we're going to, from the dashboard, select take picture, which will take a photo of the visitor that's at the gate. You also have your schedules here. If you want to do a hold open schedule for the gate, you can come over here under actions, schedule. And we're always going to want to begin and end on the same day. So we'll go ahead and we'll start on a Monday and we'll end on a Monday. And if we want the gate to remain open, let's say during a busy time, 10 a.m. to, let's say 11 a.m. for about an hour, and we will go in, we'll hit save. So it highlights in blue, letting us know that the gate will remain open from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. on Mondays. We hit save, and then that's going to go ahead and take us back to the dashboard. So let's say we want to override an existing hold open schedule. We're going to come here back to schedule, alternative schedules and blackouts, and hit add. And we're just going to go ahead and change this hold open to a blackout day. We'll go ahead and select a Monday, sorry. Let's do the 18th, save. So it's going to override that existing hold open schedule. We'll do save. The next thing we're going to talk about is the activity logs. So we can come here. You have a couple of ways to get to the activity logs. If you scroll down to the bottom, you'll have a log here, or we'll go here to logs. And this will take us to our activities log where we can actually search. We can search for things such as a code that's been used. We can also search with a group name, which is going to be the directory name, virtual keys, which will be our QR codes. And then we can also search using the from and to for the date field. Okay, the next thing we're going to talk about is going to be users. So we're going to go ahead and go to users here. This will pull up our users. We'll do manage users. This will show all the users we have. We'll go over adding a user. In order to add a new user, we're going to select add a user, or add user, sorry. We will need first name, last name, and then we'll need a unique email address. And phone number is not necessary here, so we'll hit next. The user type will be resident employee. Your user group is going to be depending on what you want, what type of access you want the user to have. If we want the user to have a remote access, we can either select Video Call Group Manager with remote access, which will give them the ability to make changes to their call group, which will be the directory information. If we do not want them to have that access, we would do Video Call Group User with remote access or Video Call Group User. If we have with remote access, that gives them the ability to use the app to open the gate without a visitor contacting them from the call box. So we're going to go ahead and say Video Call Group User with remote access. Select next. This will default will actually have yes here, and these options will be selected, meaning that they do have access to the property. And select next. At this point, you can add a gate code, an RFID or card clicker, and you'll invite a call group user. So we're going to go ahead and just add a gate code. The system's going to check to make sure that that code is not in use. So we'll say add access method. Then we're going to go ahead and select invite call group user. So what we're going to do in this case is we're going to go ahead and add a new call group, which will mean we're going to add a name to the directory. So we're going to go ahead and select add new call group. The display name, we'll go ahead and put First name, last name, however we want that to appear. The display name is going to need to be between 5 and 15 characters. So as long as we're within that 5 to 15 characters, we're good to go. We'll hit save. We're going to select next, and that's created our user for us. Once you have someone that needs to be removed from the system, if they're part of a call group, there's a couple of things we want to do. If we need to delete a user and they're listed here, we want to go ahead and delete the user from the call group. So if we wanted to go in and let's say we're going to remove this user here, we're going to go ahead, put a check mark. We're going to select remove. And you have a couple of options here. If we want to take them out of the directory, but we still want them to have access to the community, then we will go ahead and select no, which will delete the call group. If we want to delete them completely from the system, we'll select yes, which will delete all access methods for this particular user. All right, the next thing we're going to discuss is editing a user. So we'll go in, let's say we need to change an email address. Let's actually go into the user we created. We'll do test name here. We're going to go ahead and click here from users. We're going to do manage users. It's going to take us to this screen. We'll go ahead and select test name. And if we need to make any changes, this is where we can make changes. You can make changes to the user's first name, last name, their email address when you change, which is their username. When you change the username, you hit edit. It will require you to put in a password. You can use whatever password you like, because you'll send the residents a password reset link so they can go ahead and set their own password. If we need to make changes to their code, we can come down here to access method. We can delete the code. And then we can also just go in and we can add a new access code. And we can also add additional items such as a RFID card clicker. If we do happen to have any card clickers on file in inventory, we can select yes, and it will allow us to select from inventory. If we do not, then this will not highlight. We will not be able to select yes, and we'll just select the type of device, access card. We'll need the 5-digit code there. And the system's going to check for us, and then we'll go ahead and hit add. If for some reason we need to change the user group or role, we can do so here as well by selecting the drop down here. We can, if we need to change it to an admin, we'll go ahead and select admin, and then it gives us the option of the type of admins that we can select from here. So we'll just say account admin and hit apply. All right, the next thing we're going to discuss is adding restrictions. So we will start from the users here. We'll go ahead and let's just go ahead and select this one right here, test, and we're going to go ahead and add a restriction here. So once we've gone in and we've selected the user's profile, we're going to come down here to restrictions, and we're going to want to go ahead, and if we want the user to have access to each gate, for this particular instance we have only one gate, so we're going to say yes here. And then for adding a restriction, it would be no, but we'll go ahead and select yes to add the restriction. So we're going to go ahead and select the highlighted area here which says add restriction. We're going to go ahead and select the time that we want that code or this user to be able to access the community. So we're just going to say we want to allow access Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. The time frame, we're just going to say 12 p.m. to 11:59 p.m. We'll hit add schedule. So this will highlight in green for us when the particular user is able to access the community. So we will go ahead and hit save. It's going to ask us if we want a preset. So if we plan on using this particular restriction for another user or another group, then we can set a preset name. If we choose to not use it, it's a one-time restriction for this user, then we'll go ahead and hit skip. And that will create the restriction for that user. So if we need to go in and delete a restriction, we'll come back to the user and we will just click on the trash can icon here. We will say okay, and that's going to remove the restriction for us. Next thing we're going to go over is adding codes. So if we want to add a vendor code, we're going to start from users. We're going to select add a code. We're going to go ahead and we'll just label this vendor. And then we're going to go ahead and use a 4 to 5 digit code here. The system's going to check to make sure the code is good. And then we already have property access selected here. So we say, yes, we do have access to the property. You can also add restrictions at this point if you would choose to do so. And we'll go ahead and hit save at the bottom. And that will add a vendor code for us. Okay, we're going to go over the import process. We're going to go ahead and select manage call group, import voice video call group. We're going to want to select the file here. We're going to select choose file. We're going to go ahead and select our spreadsheet. We'll hit open. We're going to go ahead and start import. We'll go ahead and select OK and OK here. We're going to want to put our email address in here so that we can get that error log. Let's import now. And we're going to come here. As you can see, we've had 3 records imported. We have 1 error. We're going to go ahead and select the blue link that says download error log. I'm going to go ahead and open that error log here. And it's going to give us our error log. We'll do enable editing. We're going to want to go ahead and type in a password here just to protect the sheet so we can make changes. And as you can see here, the error we have is that the email address is already in use. So we're just going to say this email address is incorrect. We're missing a 1. We'll go ahead and put a 1 here. We'll go ahead and resave that document. And we're going to save it. Let's just change that real quick here. Right. Okay, then we're going to come here. We're going to go to choose file. We're going to want to go ahead and select last file here. Select open. We're going to go ahead and start import. Same thing here. Okay. Okay. It'll put our email address in there. We're going to select import now. And we have successfully imported that correction. The next thing we're going to go over is going to be editing call groups. As you recall, when we go to users, we already have some call groups set up here. Once we add a user, it will ask us to add a call group for that user. So we will go here, manage call group, video call group. This is where we'll make changes to the directory, such as adding phone numbers, changing the who's contacting it at which point. So once we come here to manage call group, we're in video call group. We can actually use the display name and search whatever name we'd like to search for there. We're going to just go ahead and use Smith Jones, and we're going to go ahead and edit that call group. This will be what will show in the directory. So we'll do edit call group. We have the display name here. If we need to make changes to that, we can do so. We don't need to necessarily add an address here. If we'd like to do so, you can. Adding the device, this is just in reference to the gate itself. This will tell you what gate the user will show up on. If you have multiple devices, then you may have multiple gates that you can choose from, or devices that you can have that display name show. The next thing we'll talk about is app calls. So if we were to go to the gate and select Smith Jones or the call box, the call box will first attempt to access the resident via the app. So as you can see here, we have two different users here. So when the name Smith Jones is selected, these two users will be contacted simultaneously for 30 seconds via the CellGate Mobile Connect app. If they do not answer that call within 30 seconds, if there were names listed here, it would roll over and contact these users. If there are no names listed there, then it would come through as an actual phone call from 972-231-1999, at which point you'll be prompted to press 1 to connect the call. To allow access, you'll press star. If there is no phone number listed here, then the system will just, once the app call is completed or not answered, then that will end the visitor call. So we always want to make sure that once we add those residents in the system, that we're coming back to the call group to add the phone numbers there to make sure that that resident or user does not miss an app call or a visitor call with the phone number. We'll hit save all, and that'll save the changes. The next thing we're going to go over will be, we're going to go back to call group, and we're going to go over sending out notifications. So once we've completed the import and all the users are added, then what we'll do is we'll want to send a notification out to those residents saying, hey, you got a new CellGate system. Please download the app, create a password so you can access the system. In order to do so, we will need to come here, and we're just going to go ahead and select next to the display name, which will check each user. We're going to select resend notification, and we can choose to either use email, SMS, or both. If we use email, the user is going to get an email with instructions to download the app and set up their password. Same thing with text, or you can do both. We also have the ability to schedule those notifications to go out at a later date. So let's say you need some additional time just to get everyone in the system, but you want to go ahead and set that notification to go out. Then you can select the date here, hit schedule, and notifications will go out on the scheduled date. The next thing we want to go over is groups. This basically gives us the, if you can see here, we have our admin, resident employee, visitor, and no access. We'll go ahead and select the plus sign next to admin. And as you can see here, we do have the ability to add virtual keys, and we have a settings option here. So what we'll do is, let's say we want to go ahead and account admins, we want to give them access to create virtual keys or QR codes. We can go ahead and select edit virtual key settings. And we have two options here. We have an individual key, which is specifically used for individuals without we don't necessarily have to have restrictions on these. And then you have your temporary event keys, which would actually be more like if you have a party or a large group that needs access and you want to provide a virtual key, you have the ability to do that. Virtual keys can be scheduled up to 7 days in advance, and you do have the option to have those virtual keys used up to 7 days. And you can also put restrictions on those virtual keys as well. For your individual keys, you don't necessarily have to have a restriction on those. So we'll hit save. And these are the type of groups you have. So for example, for admin, you have an account admin. Account admins have full access to the account. You have a billing admin, which has access to only billing on the account. A site admin will have the same access as an account admin, with the exception of being able to see and edit billing. And of course, read admin only has the ability to see, but cannot edit any information. The next group we'll talk about is going to be resident employee. So you have a couple of different options here. Video call group manager with remote access gives you if you're in this role, you have the ability to add users to your call group, so that'll be what's in the directory. And you can also edit the directory information, and you also have the ability to open the gate remote with the app. Video call group manager, same access with the difference being that they will not be able to use the app to open the gate if there's not a visitor there for them. Video call group user with remote access does have the ability to use the app to open the gate without a visitor being there, but they do not have access to the portal to add any users to a call group. Video call group users have no access to the app to open the app remotely, but they will get visitor calls via the app. And your credential-only users are going to be those roles that do not have access to the portal or the app. This would be maybe a code that's used for a housekeeper or something of that sort. So you would use that as well. You also have your visitor group here. So you have guest code, vendor code. They're similar. They're just going to be, just depending on the verbiage, if you want to use the vendor or guest code, both are going to be an actual numeric code assigned to them. And then the last thing you have is no access. If you do have someone that you need to remove access, you do have the ability to go in and put them at no access rather than delete them, which will basically keep their credentials from being used.